Hi you guys, I am ready to do Module 12, Lesson 2, and this one is all about using AM and PM to describe time. So go get your math books and a pencil and get ready to follow along. We're going to do the whole lesson together. Alright, I'm on page 331 and it says use AM and PM to describe time. The I can statement says I can use AM and PM to describe time. So you've probably heard this before, people saying, oh, it's 5 o'clock AM, or dinner will be at 6 o'clock PM. So you've probably heard this, maybe wondered what it meant, maybe you already know what they mean, but this lesson will help us understand how to describe certain hours of the day. Okay, so let's go through this for your learning. It says, the times that Hannah eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner are shown on the digital clocks. Show the times that Hannah eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the analog clocks. So I labeled the times BLD for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now for breakfast, 7 o'clock, there's no minutes. So I'm pointing at 0 minutes. The minute hand is the long hand and I'm pointing straight up. That means 0 minutes. It's right on the hour. My hour hand is the short hand and it's pointing right at the 7. Now for lunch, it's at 12:15. So my hour hand is pointing towards the 12 and my minute hand, the long hand, is pointing towards the 3, which is the 15 minutes. I could count by 5s 3 times and that would get me 15. Or I would just know that that's my anchor. Now dinner is at 5:30. So my hour hand, since I'm 30 minutes, that's half past the hour, my minute hand is halfway past the clock, or I could count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, or I remember that it's my anchor. Then my my hour hand, the short hand, is halfway between 5 and 6 because it's 5:30. Okay, so there we go. Breakfast we know is in the morning, lunch is at noon, and dinner is in the evening. Down below, the Turn and Talk says, what are some activities that are done in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening? So think about that. What do you do in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening? So this is kind of a crazy time right now. So what are you guys doing right now? What do you do in the morning? For me, in the morning, I take Juno on a walk. I do some yoga. I make sure I have breakfast. I come say hi to you guys in a video. In the afternoons, I plan what I'm going to do the next day. And then in the evenings, I have dinner. So I know times are a little bit nuts right now, and so your schedule is probably different too, but I'd be curious to hear from you guys what you guys do in the morning and afternoon and evening as well. So let me know. All right, now for the next page, page 332. Here we have our vocabulary box. It says midnight is 12 o'clock at night. So 12 o'clock at night when we're fast asleep in bed. It's all dark outside, super sleepy. Noon is 12 o'clock in the daytime. So we have 12 o'clock in the daytime, 12 o'clock of nighttime. I know, it's so crazy. AM is the time after midnight and before noon, so like the morning time. And PM is the time after noon and before midnight. So after lunch and then what we do in the afternoon and the evening, get ready for bed, that's all PM. So let's take a look at this question. For a day in December in New York City, sunrise is at 7:15 and sunset is at 4:30. Is sunrise at 7:15 a.m. or p.m.? Is sunset at 4:30 a.m. or p.m.? So sunrise is when the sun is rising, right, in the morning time. Sunset is when it sets in the evening, okay? So we want to know basically is it a.m. or p.m. for sunrise and sunset. So down below, if we follow our vocabulary, a.m. is the time after midnight and before noon. So remember for module or for lesson 1, I told you to think about time as like a number line, but in a circle. Same thing for if we're thinking about a full day, 24 hours in a day, think of it as a timeline, or not a time, a number line. So if we start at 12 o'clock midnight and go all the way to 12 o'clock noon, this whole thing is considered AM. So I did a little bracket and I wrote AM. Then afternoon to midnight is PM. So let's think about the sunrise. Show the times on the clocks. How can you show AM and PM on the number line? So sunrise is at 7:15. So my hour hand, the shorthand is pointing toward the 7, and my minute hand is pointed towards the 3 or the 15. Remember, those big numbers represent our hours, but it also tells us how many times we can multiply by 5. 3 times 5, 15. It's a fun little trick. And then my sunset at 4:30. My hour hand is in between the 4 and the 5 because I'm in the 4 o'clock hour, halfway till 5 o'clock. Not to 5 yet. Then the minute hand is pointing straight down to the 30. Okay, so is sunrise after midnight or after noon? What do you guys think? Is sunrise after midnight or after noon? Sunrise is what happens in the morning. So I would say it is after midnight. Look at our number line, 7:15. If this is our number line, 12 o'clock midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock, which is what we need for 7:15, it's still in this bracket area. It's still in the AM part of our number line. So it's after midnight, it's AM. Now, afternoon, let's see, right here, is sunset before midnight or before noon. So sunset, 12 o'clock, noon, this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening when you're eating dinner, and 7:15 or 4:30. Gosh, sunset is 4:30, so it's right here before. Keep mixing those up. So 4:30 is still afternoon though. Or it's not asking that, it's asking before. So is it before midnight or before noon? Well, it's afternoon, so it can't be before noon, so it's before midnight. You guys know that sometimes I get mixed up. Totally flexible, right? All right, so write the times with AM and PM. Sunrise is written as 7:15 AM. Sunset is written as 4:30 PM. Turn and talk. Is it always light outside when the time is AM? And is it always dark outside when the time is PM? Explain. If it's AM, is it always light? If it's PM, is it always dark? What do you guys think? The answer is no. It's not always light outside when it's AM, right? Have you ever maybe woken up from maybe like Juno? Maybe he was barking at something and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. That's 3 o'clock AM, but it's dark outside at that time, you know, midnight, because the sun doesn't rise until 7:15, like it says. And then when we're at school till 3:15. Is it dark? Is it pitch black outside at 3:15? That's 3:15 p.m., but it's not pitch black outside. It's still light. It doesn't get dark until sunset. So that's a good thing to think about. Okie dokie. Next page, 333. Roy reads a book before bed at 8 o'clock. Does Roy read the book at 8 o'clock a.m. or 8 o'clock p.m.? On the number line, show the time that Roy is reading. So he is reading a book before bed. So I'm thinking, okay, this is noon. This is like my middle ground. Okay, am I gonna go afternoon or before noon? I'm gonna go afternoon. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. What part of the day describes AM times? Where's AM? That's from midnight to noon. Midnight to noon. Use the number line to tell if Roy reads the book at 8 o'clock a.m. or 8 o'clock p.m. Explain. Well, this is 8 o'clock p.m. over here. p.m., so I won't write this all down because it'll take too long, but what you would write is p.m. is the time afternoon and before midnight. Afternoon and before midnight is p.m. 8 o'clock is, if he's reading before bed, that's going to be before midnight. So I'm thinking 8 o'clock p.m. I know that this is so tricky to think about, and it can be really confusing if we get it like all mangled and try to be all fancy and weird. We just have to think, okay, a.m. is before noon, p.m. is afternoon. And then, like I said with Module 1 yesterday, we just have to be a little bit logical about it, right? Are we, if it says reading before bed, are we thinking in the morning time before breakfast? No, because that's the morning time before breakfast. It's not before we go to bed. So we just have to kind of use what's called common sense and think, okay, it's not going to be before noon when I eat lunch. It's not going to be this 8 o'clock right here because there is an 8 o'clock. Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 o'clock right here. Right? But am I using that 8 o'clock? No, because that's in the morning before lunch, 4 hours before lunch. So I know that is a little hard to wrap your head around, but you guys will get it. It'll be no problem. Okay, let's go through the check understanding. Tom completes his homework after school at 4:12. Write the time using AM or PM. Okay, let's think about this. After school. Has he had lunch yet? Yes, he's already had lunch. So we're afternoon. We're in this area of the time. So is it AM or PM? AM is on this side, PM is over here. So it's going to be 4:12 p.m. Write the time for the activity. Use AM or PM. Recess. What do we do? 1:30, we have recess. We actually don't have afternoon recess, but that's okay. We know that this is in the afternoon, though, because are we at school at 1:30 in the morning? No, we're asleep at 1:30 in the morning. So this is going to be 1:30 p.m. Write the time for the activity. Good. Okay, now arrive at school. Do we arrive at school in the morning or in the afternoon? We arrive in the morning. So it's in the 7 o'clock hour. So the time says 7:41 a.m. I just counted. I used my anchor. That's 30, and then 35, 40, and then one more is 41. That's how I got 7:41. And it'd be AM because it's in the morning. All right, page 334. On your own. Chantel wakes up for school at the time shown. At what time does she wake up? Write your answer using AM or PM right off the bat before even looking at the clock. Is it going to be AM or PM? What do you think? Shout it out like I can hear you. It's going to be AM because she's just waking up, right? She's waking up for school. And that is AM. Now let's look at our clock. The hour hand, the shorthand is in the 6 o'clock hour. We're past 6 o'clock, but not by much. So I'm going to use my anchor. This is 15, and then I'm going to count by ones, 15, 16, 17. So it is 6:17 a.m. morning time before school. All right, write the time for the activity. Use a.m. or p.m. Visit the post office. It is 9:10. Would I visit the post office at 9:10 at night? No, I'm in bed. I'm getting ready for bed. And the post office closes at 5 anyways. So this is probably in the morning, 9:10 in the morning, which is a.m. Look for stars in the sky. Maybe when you're camping, right? So here we're in the 1 o'clock hour, 1, 15, 16, 17. 1:17. Okay, so this one you might think, oh, p.m., right? Because it's in the evening. But think about, go back to our number line. Midnight to noon is a.m. So 1:17 in the morning, when it's really dark outside, it's just right there. So it's after midnight. After midnight is a.m. You might think that it's p.m. because it's like, oh, you're staying up late at night, so it's still nighttime. And it is nighttime, but it's past midnight, so now it's the morning time. Gosh, that is really late to stay up. Past midnight, 1:17 in the morning, it's crazy. Okay, number 7. Karina says when she is sleeping at 2 o'clock, it is p.m. because it is dark. Is Karina correct? How do you know? We just talked about this just now. She says that when she's sleeping at 2 o'clock, it is p.m. because it's dark. Now, she is thinking 2 o'clock past midnight. So let's go back to our number line. She's sleeping. It's midnight. Now it's 1 o'clock. Now it's 2 o'clock. Is it dark? Yes. Is it p.m.? No. Because p.m. is afternoon, not after midnight. So she is wrong. And we are going to say she is wrong. And how do you know? Well, we know because if it's 2 o'clock and she's asleep and it's dark, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay? I hope this makes sense. All right, that is it for lesson 2. We kind of breezed through it, like I said before. We're moving quickly. I hope you guys are following along okay. And like I said earlier, it's really easy to get this mixed up, right? It's really easy to be like, wait, what? It's all just about time, and it can get really, really mumbled up. But just do your best. Think about like the circle. I'm going to draw a number line circle. I always forget that marker is terrible. Okay, so if this was my circle of time, I don't know if I want to do this actually. I think it's going to be more confusing if I do it. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to think on it, and then I'll come back to you. But yeah, anyways, just do your best. Just keep working hard. You're going to get it. If you don't get it right now, that's okay. This is craziness, crazy times, and we just have to be flexible, and we just have to do our best, okay? I'm really proud of you for trying, and don't feel bad. Don't stress out if you don't get it right now. If you're still confused about it, that's okay, okay? We'll keep on trying, all right? I love your guts, and I'll talk to you later.